Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's been over 15 months since the $2 trillion American Rescue Plan, as I refer to it, the Biden bailout bill, was signed into law, sparking the highest inflation in 40 years. Inflation has risen 12.2% since Joe Biden took the oath of office. We have seen gas prices surge to 109% above since Joe Biden took the oath of office. I want to thank Chairman for agreeing to hold this oversight hearing. We've been asking for it for some time, and yet this oversight hearing undercut by the fact that President Biden's rescue czar, Gene Sperling, and Treasury Secretary Yellen are not here. Mr. Chairman, as you know, I sent you a letter requesting you add a second panel of executive branch witnesses for the hearing so Mr. Sperling and Secretary Yellen could answer the questions they have thus far ignored from our timeless efforts one after another. And I ask unanimous consent to submit the letter to the record.
Without objection.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Sperling was appointed to oversee the implementation of this $2 trillion boondoggle. Secretary Yellen's department is responsible for administering over $1 trillion worth of its programs and benefits. Many of these made it more rewarding to stay out of the workforce in 2021 than seek gainful employment, worsening the labor and supply chain problems we see today. For over a year, we have cataloged numerous examples of ridiculous waste of federal tax dollars from the American Rescue Plan, $1,400 stimulus checks to Japanese citizens living in Japan, $783 million to checks to prisoners, $2 million to purchase a ski area, $140 million for luxury hotel developments in Florida, $20 million to modernize fish hatcheries in Maine, $4 million for a bird sanctuary, $2 million for a golf course. Sounds like a lot, but there's a lot more. $15 million of taxpayer dollars to help develop a venue in New Jersey to host the 2026 World Cup. $7 million to social media influencers to promote seafood. $2 million to plant trees in New York. $5 million for a moonshine walking trail. $7 million for horse racing in Arizona. $250,000 for pickleball courts. $800,000 for luxury apartments in Connecticut. And $4 million for beach bathrooms and parking lots in South Carolina. This list goes on and on. This is why we need answers from the administration. So what did American families get? I'll tell you, they got higher prices and lower real wages. Inflation began to rise to the fastest level in 40 years the month after Democrats passed the $2 trillion bill. Inflation was 1.7% in February of 2021, the month before passage of this boondoggle. The economy shrank 1.5% in the first quarter of 2022, 4.4 percentage points lower than where the Congressional Budget Office said it should be prior to passage of this boondoggle. The labor force participation rate is still below pre-COVID levels. The deficit in 2021 was $517 billion higher than the Congressional Budget Office said it would have been before passage of this boondoggle. At $2.78 trillion deficit, it was the second highest deficit in the history of this nation. Interest rates are rising faster than it has seen in 30 years. When Joe Biden took office, the CBO predicted no tax rates until 2024. We have two already, one expected this week. In February 2021, CBO reported that the economic growth would return to pre-pandemic levels by the middle of last year, and unemployment would continue to decline, all without further federal government stimulus. Despite this, and with $1 trillion in unspent COVID money, Democrats chose to gamble with the financial security of the American people. Our Democrat colleagues are holding this hearing to take a victory lap which shows just how out of touch they are with what real Americans are facing with uncontrollable inflation. I yield back.